Friends, we are live. Welcome to Central Florida Weather Live, the show. Rusty McCranie with you here on a Monday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. I can tell by the number of folks who have joined at the top of the live show that it's a beautiful day. But we'll get into the forecast here. How about that fog early this morning? And actually some of that fog still burning off at the hour as well. So welcome to CFLW, the show. As always, Central Florida Weather Live is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They represent homeowners, condo owners, associations across the state, anything that could influence you or your property, anything that could cause damage to your home or your property, car accidents, hail, burst pipes, hurricanes, wind, anything. They're going to walk you through the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. You see their logo at the bottom of the screen. It's leononmelaw.com. Go there for all the newest information, or if there is a situation in your life where you feel like you need to reach out to them, encourage you to do so. Good to see you guys on a Monday afternoon. Again, dealing with some fog early today. Skies have cleared. It's a beautiful afternoon across the area. Temperatures have been slow to warm because of this. These are our live numbers here. You can see in our northern areas, we are only eking into the upper 60s to the lower 70s. Now look, it was a humid start to the day for sure. If we take a look here, I'm just going to pause this real quick. And let's just pick out Ocala as a example here. So we look at the current data. If we go back a couple of hours here, we can look at this actually, and you can see that they had a temperature of 70 degrees and a dew point of 66. So there was still some visibility issues in the area at the time, right? And so, we had some fog and even some lower clouds that really took some time to actually burn off. And as a matter of fact, it's just at the 1 o'clock hour that we're starting to see some of these low clouds lift throughout the area, and temperatures are going to warm up in accordance. Right now that the sun is out, it's going to be warm. But man, that fog was dense this morning. I was actually up late last night. I'm normally up late anyway, but I was working on that new intro, which, by the way, appreciate you guys pointing out. So now we have a much more lighter music and a little bit lighter tone. That last intro that we had was for our live streams, which typically means we've got some important, impactful weather. And so we switched that up for you guys. But now that, the sun is out, it's going to be getting warmer. But that fog was ultra dense. I mean, before I went to bed last night, I looked outside, I was like, wow, it is going to not be a fun commute for a lot of folks. I want you to get prepared for more fog tomorrow morning as well. As a matter of fact, what do you say we take a look at what's going on right now with the visible satellite imagery? So I'm going to bring that on for you guys right now, and we'll see what's been happening across the area. And again, when you see those thicker clouds, that's going to be the fog that we had a little bit earlier in the day. And you notice that it's kind of just situated over our area, right? Like it hasn't really, moved much. If we've seen a little bit of clearing right now, it's been in our southern zones, back towards portions of Manatee and Sarasota counties, portions of Pinellas and Hillsborough and Polk and Osceola and Brevard counties as well. Starting to clear in Orange County, starting to clear in Lake County right now. But again, relatively speaking, the clouds were thick. Now you notice that the temperatures kind of stayed steady in the mid-morning hours because of that thick fog. Now that the sun is back out, those temperatures will be warming up, and we are already in most spots above average. The normal high in Orlando for the day is 73 degrees. It's low to mid 70s across our area. We're going to be busting through that again. We could easily get into the lower 80s on this Monday, and that warmer weather is going to be sticking around. We'll be talking about that. So I just feel like we've turned the corner exceptionally from the colder weather we had last week and even the week before. And now we're talking about actually temperatures that are going to be staying above average in most spots. You do get into the northern portions of the state, and we still have some thicker clouds, some, low visibility from time to time. You'll notice that, as these temperatures and these sky conditions update on the bottom of your screen, you'll still see some overcast conditions. And even from time to time, you'll see that some areas are reporting mist. And the simple part of that is that we still have some fog. It's not really raining outside, but obviously the low clouds still producing some moisture. Humidity values are still outrageously high. Man, that was the story. I mean, if we look at Kissimmee right now, their relative humidity obviously was 100% earlier in the day, but it's still, in the 70s. Yes, we're going to see skies clear and that humidity will come down. But to me, that was the big story, especially on Saturday morning, right? You got outside, even Sunday morning, even yesterday morning, right, when the clouds moved back in, you got outside, the temperature was pretty comfortable, but for the first couple of days of February, it was pretty darn sticky outside, right? And now we're going to be into a pattern where that's not going to change much. We're still going to have some low-level moisture in place, so fog is going to continue to potentially be an issue for tomorrow morning, and we will look at that as well. But as far as any real rain chances go at this point in time, we're looking pretty good. I'm going to throw on the winds outside right now and take a look at those for you real quickly as well. So here we go. Let me make those just a little bit bigger for us. The winds are generally very gentle wherever they are blowing from. And the winds are relatively variable at the hour, okay? If you live along the East Coast, more than likely, at least for a time, you're going to get an onshore breeze, but that's not even necessarily the case right now. Titusville does have a southeast wind, and Daytona Beach does have a northeast wind. Again, I'm expecting a bit of an easterly component along the East Coast. You get into interior sections like Leesburg, it's due east, but again, these winds will be kind of all over the place. But the biggest story, you notice that Lakeland has a north wind right now, is that the winds will be less than 10 miles an hour in most times. So we've got some really nice weather as far as that goes as well. Let's take a look at what's going on across the nation, just to point out that as far as what's been happening in the southeast, no precipitation, right? We've really dried out here. Temperatures are beginning to moderate as we go through the weekend and into early this week. So we're looking pretty good as that goes. Now, we do have a fast-moving system in the Great Lakes, but that is not going to pull any colder air into our area, right? And you can even notice there, even up towards the UP of Michigan and across the lakes and the lake effect snow belt, temperatures are hovering right around freezing. So it's even mixing in with some rain, and you can see that on the map right now, and a little bit of ice. Now, the major snowstorm is actually becoming in the Intermountain West. Obviously, the radar data is not as prolific here because of all the terrain, but that was a pretty nasty storm that slammed into the Pacific Northwest. And you can see these are actual temperatures right now in portions of Big Sky Country, which are double digits below zero. But the point is that these systems are skirting the Canadian-U.S. border, and they're going to stay north. And they're not going to be dropping a cold front into the area anytime soon. So these temperatures will be staying above average, and overall, our precipitation chances will be staying below average. So above average temperatures, below average chance for rain, because this time of the year, you got to get a cold front, not getting the sea breeze to come in. Friends, going to take a quick second and appreciate those who are watching. If you are, thank you for liking this live stream. Again, it really supports the channel. If you're watching this in the recorded version, thank you for hitting the like button, regardless of when you're watching it. Again, it does help out the channel tremendously, gets more eyes on. If you have not subscribed to Central Florida Weather Live, please do so as well. So just kind of looking at a couple of different things here. Let's switch over to the enhanced satellite imagery. Again, it's not going to pick up the low-level clouds as well. Little bit of a system trying to actually come out of the southwest Gulf of Mexico, but again, not as much moisture in play in early February, so I don't think it's going to promote any showers here. A couple of showers could sneak into the southern part of the state. When we look at the actual outlook over the next 10 days, now I want to be clear, this is 6 to 10 days out, so it's not including the first 5 days. So this is kind of going from Saturday into mid next week, basically into the mid portions of February, right? The trend that we have currently across the United States is exactly the trend that we're going to see over the next 5 to 10 days. And that's where the bitterly cold air gets locked into the northwest part of the United States. You kind of have a normal chance for average temperatures in the Midwest, in the Plains, and the Great Lakes. A little bit colder in the Western Great Lakes and the Northeast and New England. But the Southeast, and it's deep into the Southeast, Tennessee Valley, the Appalachians, Mid-Atlantic states, will all be staying above average. And by the way, right here in Central Florida, we're in that darkest red. That means we have the highest chance to see temperatures above average. And it's not just going to be above average. I think most days, at least over the next 7 days, we're going to have temperatures right around 10 degrees above average in the afternoon hours. So it's going to be beautiful and warm weather for us here. When we look at the precipitation outlook, right, we are going to mainly be on the drier side. Now we will, that's pretty far out. Now we will actually see most of the United States with at least a slightly higher than average chance for above average precipitation, whether that's rain, snow, sleet, whatever it is this time of the year in that area from the 6 to 10 day time frame. We just happen to be one of the areas where the gray is basically a neutral chance, and then the brown is going to be a drier than average chance. But I want to be clear about this. This is mainly going to try and help us out in that 8, 9, and 10 day time frame, because I don't see a lot of rain in the forecast for the next week. So if we're actually going to see the rain get back in to give us a normal overall curve, if you will, over the next 10 days, is going to happen in the last few days of that 10-day time frame, because we're not going to have a lot of rain, if any, over the first 7. But the farther north that you go, so even though temperatures will be above average in this area, precip chances will be higher. So you get the idea that overall it's a pretty active pattern for the U.S., but you get this far south and look, man, you know, we stick out like a peninsula, and sometimes in winter months, we can kind of just miss these fronts. They just don't have a strong enough north wind to drive them in. But when they do, they normally come with some showers and storms, and obviously a push of colder air. Again, this is what I call fall spring, and I know you probably guys have heard that as well. If you guys think that we're going to be sitting in the lower 80s for the rest of February and into March and April, obviously that's not going to be the case. We've kind of hit that first kind of plunge of colder air, and it'll be returning. It's just not going to be returning very quickly. One thing I wanted to do here, if you guys will indulge me, there's a couple different things that I can do here. One thing that I wanted to look at actually is the visibility, right? So there's a couple different things that we can look at, and I'm going to look at that in the models as well. But, you know, visibility itself is improving, but I am concerned about more fog for tomorrow morning. It wasn't fantastic for the drivers today. I am concerned about it a little bit as well. So let me bring on this mesoanalysis product. This is what I wanted to bring on. Might take just a second to actually pop on here. But let's see if this is picking up on any visibility issues. Doesn't look like it. All right, so you see that it does change colors. That's your wind gusts, and then here's your visibility. And let me pause this. So this is basically like a real-time analysis, right? Because when we, look, I'm not expecting there to be any fog issues at 1 o'clock. So, you know, it's not something that I'm normally prepared for, if you will, but just wanted to point out that at least here, and this is, you know, an area where we could still have enough low cloud coverage where, again, there could be a little bit of fog right along the Volusia County coastline, right? Sometimes you get that inversion layer right along the immediate coast. And again, guys, if you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. I'm happy to answer that. That's one reason why I do this, is the interactivity. But obviously, visibility has gotten a lot better here in the short term. All right, so let's get into the forecast itself. By the way, I'm going to pull up the advisories. And while I'm doing that, behind the scenes, hey, Blue Goose, how you doing, pal? Appreciate you tuning in, man. Really appreciate the loyal folks who try and join the live stream. It's a fantastic thing, and I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. Oh, how about that? I need to mute that. That was me working on the new intro. So I have access to, my laptop has access to various computers. And so I can actually access several computers within one computer, if you will, kind of a computer in a computer system. And so I was working yesterday on the new intro, and I was doing it on that laptop. That's hilarious. So Blue Goose says, had to run to the bank. 68 in St. Augustine, quite cloudy. Good to see you. Oh my God, it's so humid, right? And I was mentioning that earlier, Blue Goose, that even over the weekend, right? Even over the weekend, when we had pretty comfortable temperatures because of the cloud coverage, it was pretty stuffy, especially Sunday morning, right? Went outside relatively early on Sunday morning. I was like, oh my God, like this is a little bit more humidity than I would really want in February. Now, obviously, it got better in the afternoon. Yesterday was pretty gorgeous. Live look to our Disney cam, if you will. This is just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom. And you can clearly see, again, we still have decks of clouds. Some of those are the lower clouds right over my head. Some of those are mid-level clouds. Sun is beginning to punch through. Obviously, this time of the year, you don't have the highest sun angle. So it does take some time to burn off these clouds. This is why we are fog prone sometimes here as we get to the middle and the latter portions of winter. A couple of reasons. First of all, the sun angle isn't nearly as high in the sky this time of the year, so that doesn't have as much of a benefit to burn off the clouds as quickly. And obviously, we don't have as much, daylight this time of the year as well. And so that can be a hindrance too. But especially the sun angle, it takes some time to get the sun high enough to really start to burn off some of these low clouds. And I do expect this again for tomorrow morning. Now, it may not be as dense overall, but there's still going to be some fog concerns for tomorrow morning. So that's what it looks like from the Disney cam. Our Conway cam's not working. That's okay. Oh, there it is. I never know. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But we've had it be a lot more stable lately, which is great. Now, this is interesting because this is a live look to Conway, and it does show you the contrast. We have cleared out a little bit here, so, looking pretty good, relatively speaking. And again, throughout the day, more sunshine. We'll actually end the afternoon on a mostly sunny note, and even tomorrow morning, we'll end the day on a mostly sunny note as well. So if I go back over to the live radar here, just to show you guys that at this point in time, as we speak, there are no dense fog advisories for tomorrow morning for Central Florida. However, off the coastline, you do have dense fog advisories, and those will go all the way until this afternoon. So you get the idea that along the Nature Coast right now, we still are dealing with some fog. They haven't reissued them for the overnight hours through tomorrow morning, but it's still a possibility. So again, you're looking at Tampa coastal waters all the way up to Tarpon Springs and as far north as the Suwannee River, out to 20 nautical miles until 4 o'clock. They can be no fun to be out there. They're not mentioning any actual visibility. Oh, here we go. Reduced visibility less than 1 nautical mile. That's no fun. I grew up in Crystal River. We were offshore all the time, always had an off-water boat, but it's no good. So again, it shows you that even in the afternoon hours, the fog is thick enough here. We're going to run it back, in my opinion, some dense fog advisories overnight into tomorrow morning. Blue Goose says, a fog advisory was called this morning with St. Augustine stayed pretty clear. It's all about the wind sometimes being along that immediate coast too, Blue Goose. Absolutely. Sometimes you get just a little bit of a mixing closer to the coastline to help things out. But typically speaking, the Weather Service offices that service us, and there is a variety, there's actually 3 different Weather Service offices that service Central Florida. That's Jacksonville, Melbourne, and Ruskin, which is Tampa. They won't issue these dense fog advisories more than likely until later today for the overnight hours, but I would expect some areas to at least have some visibility less than a half of mile, but it could be even thicker than that. But just to show you that even this afternoon, we've got some problems. No mesoscale discussions currently in effect. That's good. So let's get into the forecast, right? Now, I'm going to bring this on the model timeline. And I understand, by the way, that the HRRR model is showing a little bit of rain, but in my opinion, that is going to be just a little bit of that mist developing with the thicker clouds, okay? It's an interesting solution because I looked at this model this morning and this wasn't here. Okay, so the question has to be is there actually enough instability south of us with the very weak boundary that has developed to produce the opportunity for a little bit of rain to try and sneak back in to our southern areas during the evening? I think at best, it's a very low chance, but I wanted to show you that the HRRR model, which updates hourly, by the way, right? So again, this solution wasn't on board earlier this morning when I looked, but it came up within the last hour that we have this, our old frontal boundary is down here. There's a little bit of lift, a little bit of instability with it, and it's trying to push some of that rain that develops across Alligator Alley north. Now, I certainly think a shower or two is possible near Lake Okeechobee, but I think the HRRR is a little bit aggressive in trying to actually bring this back up over the I-4 corridor. But clouds could thicken back up. And could we see a light shower near Lakeland and Haines City and Davenport, maybe even into the Lake Buena Vista area and, Northwest Osceola, Kissimmee Celebration? Oh, it's possible, but it's such a low chance. And if it is, I don't think it's going to be as heavy as what the HRRR is showing. It would probably be stuck under some relatively thick cloud coverage. Blue Goose, very unique microclimate up here on the banks of the sea. Yes, and we see that from time to time in Florida. I mean, remember, we are surrounded by three sides by water, and there can be huge differences. Obviously, the Gulf is a lot more shallower than the Atlantic and the continental shelf, and then you've got these bigger lakes. Lake Apopka is a great example of a microclimate when the winds are out of the north. How much colder it is on the north side of the lake compared to the south side of the lake. I mentioned that earlier in one of the broadcasts we did a couple of weeks ago, where it could be a 10 or 12 degree temperature difference. So absolutely, those are some of the things that, being a native Floridian, I'm used to and accustomed to, and but it is there's always something new to learn, right? And so I am not an expert in every single microclimate, but it is one of those things that you can't broad brush forecast a lot, because there can be a lot of different things. Look, sometimes when storms come over the Banana River, or when storms go over the St. Johns River, there could be big changes to those, or going over Lake Apopka, and you have to account for all of that. Sometimes it's a broader thing as visibility goes. Sometimes it's, severe thunderstorms or tornadoes and how they're impacted. But I did want to note that, again, the HRRR model late tonight, just southwest of Orlando, up the I-4 corridor, tries to bring on a sprinkle. So I will say this, if for some reason you're headed to the attractions tonight, could there be a brief sprinkle in Lake Buena Vista? Yes. Do I really have it in the forecast? No. Let me show you the GFS model. And again, I'm just going to load this up through tomorrow morning, and then we'll look at visibility, right? So the GFS, now again, the GFS is not as high res, okay? So it's a little bit larger scale, right? It's a global model, but at 1 o'clock today, you've got this green here. And this is more indicative, so this is happening right now. This is just more indicative of the fog that's still into play, and some of the mist and the low level clouds and the moisture, rather than actual rain. But you notice that again into the evening hours, o'clock, you see just a little bit of rain. It's not nearly as much as what the HRRR had, but enough moisture could come back into play, low clouds developing, where we could get some mist, a sprinkle or two, and some lowering visibilities. Which is why, again, I anticipate more than likely we're going to have some dense fog advisories issued for portions of Central Florida for tomorrow morning as well. Now, we can look at the visibility. So I'm going to go back over to the Triple H model here, HRRR, that is. And let's bring up surface visibility. And this time, I'm going to loop it to tomorrow morning, and then we will freeze frame it as well. So let me loop it to 7 a.m. It's a weird color palette, isn't it? We don't have the grays that we typically see. It looks like doesn't look pretty. I might look into that. Most of the time this system has fantastic color palettes, but I'm not sure I'm digging the red for visibility. But that's what that shows. So what you're looking at here is that if you see red in your area, it means there's some reduction to your clear skies, to your visibility. Notice through the afternoon hours, that clears up. The west and the east coast still deal with a little bit of lower visibility, but nothing that's going to hinder driving. But you see how things thicken back up relatively quick. I got this itch on my mustache. Trying to grow my beard out a little bit longer, and I probably should have that, the beard balm. Should have probably put some in, because right now I've got this massive itch. So look, we're still looking pretty good here, 8 o'clock, right? When we start to see those darker reds, that's when you get a more of an issue. So as we get into the overnight hours, here's 4 a.m. Now you start to see, again, on the HRRR model, now you start to see the visibility plummet in the Orlando area, right? Go down to what could be basically nothing. Now, it's very spotty, right? It shows places like Apopka with fine visibility, but downtown Orlando, in Oviedo, in UCF, in Orlando, downtown Azalea Park, Conway, no visibility. That's why I'm concerned about some of those areas. And again, same situation here, right? Where visibility is a little bit better near Ocala, but Dunellen and Crystal River and Homosassa Springs, Spring Hill, the Villages, Deltona, Blue Goose mentioned St. Augustine. You notice that the model is pretty good at picking up a little bit in the way of some clearer skies there. We'll see if that really plays out. And then to 7 a.m. And 7 a.m., of course, is about the time frame that some folks are ready to get going, get out the door early in the morning. And we're still going to be dealing with the possibility. Now, again, this is simply, the model, but it's relatively widespread. And it is fog. It is blue goose, no doubt about it. That time of the year. Again, we mentioned the low sun angle. It takes a long time to burn off. When we get these stagnant patterns without cold fronts to come in and the air at the surface is very settled, we can get these foggy nights. You know, there's a lot of different things that go into it, but, you know, high humidity, high relative humidity, not a lot of wind, no fronts to push through, warm temperatures, it all equates to that. So that's the situation with that. And you notice it's not just us. The areas that, you know, are going to continue to see warm conditions and no cold fronts all the way up to the panhandle will have that same scenario. So that's the biggest concern that I have as we get through tomorrow. Let's see if there's anything else I want to show you guys before we get into the forecast. And again, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Severe weather watches, I'm just going through all these things. Again, if there's anything I think I need to point out, even across the US, I will. But as I've mentioned, the fronts are so far north of us right now, there's not a lot down the pipe. So let's get into the forecast. Let's do that. We'll start off with Orlando. Again, I'm expecting locally dense fog tomorrow morning. It could play out the same way it did this morning, but then it warms up. We do get mostly sunny skies by the end of the day, and we're up to 82 degrees for the daytime high. Normal high is 73, all right? Still could see some patchy fog Wednesday morning, but there's a little bit more wind expected Tuesday night and Wednesday. It should help out the fog overall, but there will still be some areas of fog for Wednesday morning, and then it's warm, 83 the daytime high. Then right now I'm not expecting fog for Thursday morning. It's a beautiful, warm day. Again, if you have outdoor plans, if you have been waiting for a project, it's a beautiful week to do it. This is fall, spring. It's going to get cold again, but it's going to take some time down the road. We've got a nice stretch of warm, dry weather, 83 degrees, the daytime high on Thursday. To Tampa we go. Again, patchy fog tomorrow morning, maybe not as thick in that Tampa Bay area, but still could have some issues for Citrus Park and Town and Country and Brandon. A nice day after that, though. 81 the daytime high. Mostly sunny skies Wednesday, 62, then 82. And then just a beautiful sunny afternoon on Thursday up to 81. You notice that there is no chance for any real rain. Again, a few sprinkles or light showers possible southwest of Orlando tonight, but it will not add up to much, and it will be done before tomorrow, before these forecasts. Again, for the attractions area, as I've mentioned, thicker clouds tonight, a sprinkle or two possible if you're going there. Otherwise, by tomorrow morning, we're waking up to dense fog again. Mostly sunny skies, 83 the daytime high, 64 the morning low. Mostly sunny on Wednesday, up to 83, 63 is the morning low on Wednesday, 64 on Thursday, and a beautiful outdoor day on Thursday afternoon, 84. You notice that the temperatures are also pretty uniform and all about 10 degrees above average. Once again, Melbourne will be dealing with a little bit of patchy fog tomorrow morning, then mostly sunny skies, 83. Mostly sunny, more than likely fine visibility Wednesday morning, back up to 83, and then plenty of sunshine on Thursday, and dry weather continues, 84 the daytime high. For our friends up in Flagler County, Palm Coast, again, areas of fog, some of that locally thick on Tuesday morning. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunny skies, 81, after a morning low of 61. Palm Coast is one of those areas that could touch a bit of a north wind during the overnight hours of Tuesday, so I've got them down to 58 for Wednesday morning. So maybe if you have a very early morning round of golf up there in Flagler County, Bunnell and Palm Coast, and some of the beautiful golf courses north of there, you might want a light jacket or a windbreaker, but you're not going to need it long. I mean, I'm expecting most folks to be back in shorts and short sleeves. I mean, why wouldn't you be? 83 the high on Wednesday afternoon, and just a fantastic warm sunny day on Thursday, 84 will be the daytime high there. So those are what the forecasts look like across the area. Let me get back over to the computer. And again, appreciate you guys watching. If you have not hit the like button, thank you for doing so. If you haven't subscribed to Central Florida Weather Live, I appreciate you guys doing that as well. So I'm going to switch over just to show you guys the long range here. This is going to be the GFS model. That's its visibility product. I'm going to go back over to reflectivity. This might take a second or two to load up, but I am going to take it out a full week. Because look, this time of the year we can get dry. Now this time of the year we don't have to really worry about fire conditions, right? You know, we're not in that time frame, so at least if we do dry out in February, we're not dealing with that. Obviously that comes towards May and June if we haven't hit the wet season yet. You know, Do you want to maybe punch the sprinklers on once or twice in the next week? Maybe. You know, follow obviously the local watering guides. We don't have to get crazy this time of the year with the St. Augustine. Blue Goose says Northeast Florida will be a bit milder than those numbers. I look forward to the milder weather. Slightly, yep, a little bit more of a north wind there, slightly cooler, but only by a couple degrees. And again, depending if you're on the coast, it'll make a difference. You know, Palm Coast and Daytona Beach and Melbourne and Flagler and Volusia and Brevard counties, slightly cooler. You get up to Duval County and other areas, you can knock another degree or two off of that, but mild overall for sure. But certainly warm in most spots. So letting this play out, guys, right? This is the GFS model over the next week. I'm letting it run all the way till next Monday, all right? You can see the storm systems that are going to be moving through the central U.S., which is going to keep those areas above average rain, right? We talked about how it's going to be very warm east of the Mississippi and south of the Ohio Valley, but they're also going to be wet. And you can clearly see that. So we do have a progressive pattern in the U.S. You can see that storm system developing here in the next couple of days in Arklatex, but it moves fast north and east over the Appalachians into the mid-Atlantic and eventually the Northeast as well. Now, I don't have the precip type on this map, but it would turn obviously into snow. Then you have a secondary system developing next weekend, but it's the same kind of scenario. Now, late in the period, this is going to be next Sunday, right? We do have another front trying to eke in, but you notice that it fizzles, at least as of now, on the GFS model to really provide us any big changes. I mentioned how if we're going to get to what the Climate Prediction Center had, which is basically an equal chance of being wet or dry over the next 10 days, that it's going to have to happen in the 8, 9, and 10-day time frame, because I don't really have any chances for rain over the next 7 days. So I wanted to show you the 10-day or the 7-day time frame, and I will take this out now all the way out to the 10-day time frame. Well, we'll go out to Friday, 11-day time frame. That takes us into Valentine's Day. But the point is just to show you that all the way through mid-February here, we're going to be relatively dry, especially through at least the 10th. Here comes the chance for rain after that. So, you know, next week on Central Florida Weather Live, the show next Monday, we'll be talking about some of this. Now, obviously, I'll see you on Friday, and the models will be a little bit more honed in, but here you go. That next opportunity might not be until 10 days out. And we'll just see how much rain that might bring us and how much colder weather it could bring us as well. But I show you that for those who just tuned in to go back to the precip outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. And again, this is the 6 to 10 day time frame. The gray says that's an equal chance of being, to have your average amount of rain over the next 10 days. Well, we're not going to get any in the next 7 days, so it's going to have to come in 8 to 9, 10 days to basically make up for the first 7 days being dry. But as I've mentioned, areas that are north of us, which are also going to be wet, are also still going to be warm, and we are going to be warm here in Central Florida as well. Okay, friends, let me go back over here real quick. Again, if you're just tuning in, I want to hit some of the highlights before we get out the door. Temperatures are beginning to finally warm now that skies are beginning to clear a little bit. As a matter of fact, let me put on the temperature and the visible satellite imagery in accordance together, and you can see that. Let me bring back on the main time frame. So you can clearly see again, we still have some thicker cloud coverage across the area. Again, there's still a dense fog advisory for coastal waters from the Suwannee River all the way down towards Tampa. Yes, skies are beginning to clear a little bit in this area, and that means over the next couple of hours, temperatures will warm. We're still going to get to the upper 70s and lower 80s in most spots. It's just going to take some time, but the deeper we go into the week and we start off with more sunshine, the warmer it's going to get in the afternoon hours, because the sun's not going to have to use its energy to burn off the fog and the low-level clouds before it warms up the ground. Still tomorrow morning, watch for areas of dense fog. Please be advised of that if you are an early morning commuter. And again, just make sure to take care of that for the early morning drive, starting Wednesday morning, at least in the short term. After that, I don't expect fog to be an issue. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Once again, Central Florida Weather Live is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state. So if you live in Florida, they can help you out with any situation that could cause damage to yourself or your property. Car insurance, hail, hurricanes, roof damage, wind, We're talking about burst pipes. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy review. So if that situation arises in your life, you can reach out to leanonmelaw.com with all the information there. And we appreciate them being the exclusive sponsor of CFLW for the first half of 2025. Once again, if you're watching this, I appreciate you guys. Quick second, liking this live stream. Also subscribing to CFLW if you haven't as of yet. If you're new to the channel, again, I come on live every Monday and Friday at 1 p.m. talking about Central Florida's weather. Monday's show is going to be about the work week ahead. Friday's show will be about Friday and the weekend. And these are live shows. Now you can watch them in a recorded state anytime on the CFLW YouTube channel. You just go to the live tab, and again, it'll be the recorded version of this, but I appreciate you guys joining me live because we can interact, we can have a conversation, and enjoy things here like Blue Goose and I are talking about right now. But if you're watching in the recorded version, you absolutely can still ask a question. I go back through and I'm happy to answer those as well. And of course, anytime there's impactful weather in Central Florida, I'm on live. The point is that this is a live only channel. There's no videos that I record for the forecast, right? So I encourage you guys to have your notifications on and have all of your notifications on, because you're not going to get inundated with notifications from this channel. When I'm live, it's because there's something to talk about and you guys can tune in and see if that's something that you're interested in. Friends, I appreciate you. Thank you, Blue Goose. For now, I'm going to say goodbye. You guys have a great rest of your Monday. Again, watch out for the fog early tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your week. I think things are going to be relatively quiet. I probably won't be back on for any live coverage, but I will see you Friday at 1 o'clock for the CFLW live show then. You all take care, and we'll be, again, talking about what's going to be happening for the weekend, the temperatures, and we'll look ahead to the next cold front and exactly how that's going to impact our area with a chance for some rain and some colder weather. Until then, you guys take care, and I'll see you then.